Welcome, everybody. It is noon our time, wherever you are in the world. I hope that you're either got lunch or maybe you're already on a glass of wine to join us on one of our Kninja Knowledge webinars with a very exciting guest, Jennie Moore, who is joining us today. I'm Juliet Aurora.
I'm Steve Loates.
And we're here from Kninja to bring you another one of our Kninja Knowledge webinars, which is an interview, a casual interview with industry experts, industry insiders, to kind of understand what their journey is and what they feel about is happening to our industry. So welcome, Jennie. Steve, I don't know if you want to start out by talking a little bit about us, and then we'll jump over to Jennie.
Oh, no, I think we'll jump over to Jennie. She looks like she's ready to go, so we don't want to hold her back any longer.
Jump, Jennie, jump. Well, listen, my name's Jennie Moore. I have a passion for helping individuals adopt cloud technology, very similar to Juliet and Steve over there. So I love having great collaborators in industry like you folk. We do have our own practice, more details. And some people like shoes. I got to tell you, I do have a fetish for shoes. But man, I love apps, and that's really where I'm at. That's how I solve problems for our clients, is getting to know applications really well and fully embrace cloud technology.
Excellent. So before we move on, let's just make sure that all of our technology is working and that our chat feature is working as well. We got a message from Jeff, which thank you very much, Jeff. So for those of you, do you want to slide the chat box over so I can see Jennie?
Sure, she's actually still there. There she goes. Okay.
Because then that'll just mess us up completely. So just for those of you who may not have heard this morning, we were very excited to learn that AIS Solutions and Kninja were chosen as the Canada finalists for the Intuit Firm of the Future. So we're very excited about that. And we thought how exciting it was that the Firm of the Future for Canada for 2017 was sitting down with the Firm of the Future finalist for Canada in 2016. So I thought the timing was impeccable.
It was great planning, right, Jennie?
Yeah, I wish we couldn't have planned that. It was just epic. I've been bouncing around this office for the last half hour singing, "I'm so excited," and I just am. I am so thrilled. I'm so thrilled for you guys.
Thank you so much. We're very excited. I mean, I don't think it's kind of sunk in yet for us, but over the next couple of weeks, I think it's going to be awesome. So just going back to the technology, if a couple people can just type in there, make sure it's working, maybe tell us your name, where you're from, that would be awesome. Would love to just make sure that all of our technology is working before we jump in. We also have some other guests. Jennie has her dog Duke at that end.
That's right. Dukey's down here somewhere. He's hiding. There he is.
From California.
And we have Godfrey, who's fast asleep on the floor.
See, Duke?
Come up here. Come up here.
Come on, Godfrey. Let's see you.
Up here first.
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, look.
Okay, you're on camera. Yes, this is live. It's absolutely live. Okay.
The day in the life of our working dogs, right? Oh, that is so cute.
He has no idea what's going on. He says, "I was sleeping. What's going on?"
What's going on? Yeah.
So what we want to make sure that we do is what we're trying to do is learn from your experience, learn from your past, learn from your journey, so that everyone that's kind of in the in our audience today is able to move forward and hopefully get some knowledge from it. That's the whole purpose.
Sure. Yeah. Let's have at her.
Okay. So our first question for you was, not that it's ever possible, but if you could go back in time, what do you think, or what do you wish that you had done sooner in your practice and had started earlier than when you actually did?
Oh, this one is very if anybody can listen to this advice, this would be it. Get more sleep, drink less coffee, and get an assistant. Get a virtual assistant, an assistant that will help you, somebody that can help you, because you cannot You cannot do everything. You cannot do everything. You can't.
One of the reasons I find why people are hesitant to hire VAs is obviously cost. Is there something you could say to them that would help them get past just thinking about the cost and what it actually did to help you?
Sure. And this is my argument, right? So I looked at it as an investment, right? Cost is lost opportunity for me. So my aha moment, as Oprah would say, would be when I was spending a full day scheduling, like would 10 o'clock work for you, or would 4 o'clock work for you, or would Wednesday or Thursday? And I spent all day doing that. And at the end of the day, I didn't feel very good about myself. It wasn't something I enjoyed doing. What I really wanted to do was research apps. I wanted to do bookkeeping. I wanted to build. I wanted to do social media. I did not care about if 4 o'clock or 8 o'clock worked better for someone. So for me, when I looked at that, I went, that was a full day. And at that time, I was only working 26 hours a week. That's a lot of hours to take up in that time frame. So for me, it was a no-brainer. First of all, delegating it to someone who actually enjoys that, like my Tamara. I can't believe she enjoys doing that. So thank you, Tamara. I love that you love my calendar, and I have very strict rules. I'm not allowed to touch it, all that kind of stuff. But it's more of an investment, and you need to think about what can you do with that time than what it costs you. You need to make sure that the benefit of what you're doing outweighs that investment. Does that make sense?
Great advice.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Can you share with us your journey from where you were when you started to what your practice looks like as you were a winner of the Canada's Firm of the Future last year?
Sure. So I'll spare you all the details of raising 3 kids and amongst the practice. I'm sure everybody can, understand that, the whole mommy moments there.
Well, but, and maybe even in touching on that, because that is a challenge for a lot of people.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Let's roll. Let's be heart to heart here. So my practice started 12 years ago when my first child was born. And at that time, I was in a very demanding work environment in the automotive industry. We're talking late nights, consolidation, different time zones, a lot of responsibilities when it came to inventory, multi-million-dollar facilities. We had 3 facilities I had to track assets for, inventory for, and then also to make sure all the banks worked out really well. So you can see how I'm painting that picture, that didn't really work well with a newborn. I'm just thinking the balance of life and, work probably was a little more this way. So just coming, into that family way, I realized that this is not what I want for my child. It's certainly not what I want for me. I've gotten a lot of great experience from it, learned a lot about NAFTA and foreign exchange and all that good stuff. Had a lot of great mentors. But I realized it's time for me to do something for myself. And it was very scary. I still remember my husband when I said, this is what we're doing. We're starting a practice. And I didn't have a single client. I just knew what I wanted to do. Yeah. So I always have that drive to succeed. Failure is not an option. I may fail with grace, but I'll get back up again and succeed. I may, and I think that's another thing, not to be afraid to make a mistake. So then we just slowly evolved. Now, at first, every client was a good client, right? Anybody that came to the door with a checkbook, it was amazing. But then they weren't the right fit. And so then I had to learn how to define clients, how to take on the right clients, because then it was starting to affect the family life when I realized mommy was just working too hard and really creating a job for herself. A famous saying you have, Juliet, right?
Yes.
So we were mainly desktop based. Actually, we were completely desktop based. We were completely paper. A lot of traveling because a lot of clients required me to be on site, which is really interesting when you need to run payroll for 50 employees and you're still nursing a newborn. So, this is the complexities that we had. Then cloud technology came around and we realized there's another way we can be doing this. And at that time, I was really pushing myself to become paperless before cloud technology, because at that point, I just had my 3rd child, and paper in this house with 3 children was coloring paper. And I was putting stuff up high, but when you have a Superman baby, nothing's sacred. So, we were really pushing, I was really pushing myself. I didn't have a team yet at that point to become paperless, to think outside of the box, to find solutions so that I can still be focused on the family unit and work from home. And then cloud technology came around and I went, finally, something that gets me. And it was a little, I'll be honest with you, at first it was choppy, as I'm sure it's choppy for many people just starting out. But at that time, cloud technology with different applications was still very rough, and they're a lot better now. So it's nice to know that new people coming to the market have a really nice system to work with. And we just constantly kept on that room for improvement, constant improvement, looking for those clients that were growth minded, always looking for adaptability and moving with it, because we realized our workflows are never complete. They will always evolve. And I think that that's what helped us become a firm of the future.
Awesome. Excellent. So you mentioned that, you were moving towards paperless before. Can you talk about, there's lots of people who want to move to paperless and can't even imagine what that looks like. So what was your biggest challenge in making your practice paperless?
I'm going to have to say just picking the process to start. So, it's not like you just wake up and say, I'm going to stop buying paper and quit cold turkey. And I think it's great that some people do that. I've mentored some people that have done that. They're like, yeah, I'm off paper now. I'm like, that's so great. Probably the best way is probably not to buy any more paper, and then you'll become paperless, or break your printer. And that works probably pretty well too. But I wouldn't suggest that. Take it in baby steps. Everything needs to be broken down into smaller, digestible pieces. Same thing when you're adopting into different apps, and anything you do in your practice. So for me, becoming paperless started with me. It started with my practice, my bookkeeping. What could I do, and what can I learn so that I'm confident telling my clients, this is what you can do because it works for me. I have something to stand behind. So for me, it was starting to look at applications that integrate into QuickBooks Online. Even before then, we were scanning stuff and putting it in, I think at that time we had Dropbox, I can't remember. Just starting a process to not have to worry about filing cabinets and paper. Just start with one thing, and maybe it's your own practice. And then once you have that confidence and a process, like for us, it's about HubDoc, and we use ScanSnap scanners. Actually, our clients use them now because we don't even need them. We have our mobile device, and then take it one client at a time. Don't just say to all your clients, okay, y'all, we're going paperless. That's probably going to be scary for you, your team, and your clients. Take it one client at a time.
And have you found that as you've rolled out the paperless bookkeeping piece of their business, that some of your clients have gone completely paperless in the rest of their business as well?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like in fact, the one client that we're onboarding today, we're actually in a mid-migration right now. And what's sort of sold them, if you will, on my services before they even really knew who I was. They had no idea about Firm of the Future, Jennie Moore, the girl that loves apps. They didn't really know, and they probably don't even really care about that. I'm going to be honest with you. What they saw was my client, one of my clients, walking into their cafe using the HubDoc app. Again, it could be any app, using it on their device to snap a picture of a receipt, and that registered. They went, I want that. I don't know what that is, but I want that, because they could see a process. And lo and behold, we got the call the next week, and they're being onboarded right now. So a lot of it is just, setting up the technology side of it.
Excellent.
Awesome. I'd like to just swing back a little bit to something you just said a few minutes ago. And that was, when you're first starting up, right, every client is a good client.
Yeah. Not everyone's a good client, by the way.
Absolutely. And, one of the things I love is Dragon.
Oh, yeah, my Dragon, yeah.
So perhaps you could just share with our audience just what Dragon is, and maybe what was the trigger for you, if there was one single trigger.
Oh, yeah. You couldn't miss it.
Realized they're not all good. I need to do something about this, and let's move towards Dragon.
Okay, so I recognize some of the people coming in. You've heard this, so grab a glass of wine and hang in there. So here we go. The Dragon came about because I had a broom thrown at me. It wasn't a good client. The food in the restaurant wasn't very good. His books wasn't very good. And I had to give him that bad news. He didn't like it. He threw a broom at me. Long story short.
He literally threw a broom at you.
Literally threw a broom at me. Yeah. Yeah. I took the broom, and Juliet could probably see me totally do this. And I rode out of the restaurant like the Wicked Witch of the West. Probably because I was afraid if I stayed there, I'd probably throw it back. But really, when I look at that, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, that's horrible. And yeah, it is. It's, I mean, let's face it, it's not a great experience. It's not something you want to have happen. But when I look at a situation, I always look to see, what is my involvement, right? Like, what is my involvement in this process? And clearly it wasn't throwing the broom, but what it was is I didn't define who I wanted to work for. I didn't define my own value with myself, and I didn't make sure that the people I was onboarding respected that. And so respect is very, very big in my life and in the practice. And so the dragon, here we go. The dragon came up, and maybe it's a kitten, maybe it's a dog, maybe it's a unicorn. I've heard somebody say it's a unicorn for them, and I think it's great. Doesn't matter. So, you know, D is delightful, R is respectful, A is adaptable, G is growth-minded, O is online, and N is in our niche. So those things help us stay in tune. Sorry, Duke is like all over me right now. In case you're wondering, why is our arm moving around? It's like, because he's 85 pounds and he demands attention right now. Okay. By having just something simple like that, maybe it's a mission statement for some people, but the dragon was easier for me to remember, and it keeps me in tuned and my team in tuned to who we work for.
Okay. Perfect. So we feel, and you may feel the same way, that you never get to where you are on your own.
That's cool.
That your practice becomes and evolves as you have other people who influence your life. Can you share with us whether you have a mentor now, whether you had one in the past who's kind of helped you along? We know that Brian, your husband, is very involved in the business. But do you have another mentor who's kind of helped you get where you are?
Yeah, and I think it's important. You should always look for mentors in no matter what you're doing in life. So when I was working full-time, I worked with a lot of great CPAs, even a lot of the great accounting audit firms that were out there that helped us. I always found that there's mentorship available if you're willing to listen. Don't take that as dictatorship. I mean, that's different. That's being bossed around. Look for someone who truly wants to nurture your journey. And there are people there. And I've learned a lot from some great CPAs. When it came into the cloud space, Jeff Broshka's on the line here. He's probably jumping up and down. Me. He's probably saying something in the chat box right now. Jeff really helped me when I was first sort of getting my feet wet with QBO, cloud space. We met at an accountant's council. He was able to put up with my type A personality right away. And his book really inspired me. And the way that he thinks differently really inspired me as well. And that's kind of where it is. And I think it's important to always look to people that can challenge your own thinking. It's important. Some people may call that arguing. Maybe it's arguing with purpose.
Okay. And we heard a quote, and I don't even remember which speaker it was, who said that you should always hire people who are smarter than you.
Yeah.
Which most people don't do. You usually look so that, if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. Yeah. And so, thank you, Jeff. It was Steve Jobs that said it. And yes, I think as well, you talked about Jeff's book. I think Jeff has a second edition coming out, an updated edition of that as well. So Jeff will have to keep us posted on that. Perfect. So speaking of motivational and personal development, we know that you're very big on personal development, as we are. So can you share with us some of the reasons that you think your personal development is tied into your business development?
Yeah, so I think with personal development, first of all, it comes down to, I think, a very specific definition, if you will, or a very specific word, and that's joy. So everything I do needs to be joyful. There needs to be fun in it. I don't do boring things. I just walk away. So I'm very pointful about everything I do in life has to have a purpose. It has to be joyful, right? Because to me, that's really what life is about, is an experience. So we won't get spiritual on that, But, you know, there's a lot of that ties into the personal side. For me, I'm big into figure skating, right? So I have an outlet other than my business. I have my family as well. We do hiking, we do camping. Yes, we still argue. Yes, we do. But that's what family is, right? Yeah. So personal development's important. And then personal professional development, I think, is extremely important, especially right now with changes in our industry, you know, many things. So, you know, really pushing yourself to always do better. Don't always accept the fact that you are the best. You may be the best. You may have the title that says that you are the best of Canada, for instance, if you will, if you want to say firm of the future, right? It's not enough. It's never enough. You need to constantly upgrade your skills for one very specific purpose. If it's business related, it's for your clients. Your clients expect the best. They see you as being smarter than them in this field, and they expect you to be very knowledgeable. So always push yourself to know more. And if you don't enjoy it, then you need to find something that does create joy for you. Because if you don't find cloud accounting fun, and if you can't see that cloud bookkeeping is awesome right now, you need to find out why that is and work really hard to make that joyful experience for you. It will show through with your clients, especially during prospecting. They'll see the confidence, and that is what clients want. They want confident, competent people to handle what's most important to them, and that is their bookkeeping.
That's excellent. And I find also that if you, as you said, you know, the industry is changing so much that you have to stay on top of it in order to have that confidence when you go in front of a client. And you're absolutely correct that the clients recognize it. When you're excited about what's happening, and I must admit that I haven't been excited about, you know, the bookkeeping accounting space for a long time. But the last 2 years, it's moving so quickly, and it's so exciting. It's the first time in a long time that it has been exciting for me. So, so I agree completely that you need to be excited by it to relay that to your clients.
Exactly. I think the most important thing, I know individuals right now coming into this space, they're overwhelmed with cloud technology, with apps. I understand that. Just be knowledgeable about options, because that is what your clients want. They want to know that you can provide options. It's not that one platform. Everybody knows I'm all about QuickBooks Online. We know there's other platforms that are out there. Everybody knows that I love certain apps, but there's many other apps out there. There's no good or bad. You need to know the options to best serve your clients.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
One of the things you've touched on a couple of times, Jenny, is that work-life balance.
Yeah.
So what do you like to do when you're not working? What do you like to do away from the office?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, I think like family is very, very important to me. You know, that's not the miscongeniality statement. That's true statement. My family means everything to me. So we spend quite a bit of time with the girls. And with that, we're also very fortunate that all of them, not the husband, I'll be honest with you, not Brian, he's not a figure skater, but all of us are figure skaters. Maybe one day we will get there. But right now he just enjoys chauffeuring us around, if you will. So all of us are figure skaters. We spend time together. We have a great coach, and that's just what we do. We do things that are fun, and that's really what I do in my spare time, as I focus on the family. And you know, if anybody wants to know how the heck can you do that, because they're probably got a baby beside them screaming right now, or you know, there's other life events that maybe are happening. The one thing that I would give as advice to get that kind of it's not balance, it's harmony, right? Because it's never going to be exactly as planned. But try and plan as much as possible. Set up boundaries. Get help. If you are the woman like I was, starting out with the newborn and stuff like that, get help. Get people who can help you with childcare. Make sure you take care of yourself and things like that. But boundaries are really important, and so is planning. And that's when you can start seeing that harmony come through. And
I find also that I'm always very, I don't know if envious is the, okay. Godfrey now wants out of our office, though. He's going to let him roam in the hallway.
Yeah, Duke is very much sitting here waiting for the cheese. Like, he knows it's there, and he knows if he bothers me enough, he's going to get the cheese.
Yes. We did warn our team that if he starts whining, there's going to be a dog running up and down the hallway. So just. One of the things that I find also, I mean, because you and I are also friends outside of the webinar, and friends on Facebook, and I understand how, or I see how much you completely disconnect. I'm on Facebook all the time, and there are times that, you know, Jennie is nowhere to be found anywhere.
Yeah, no, you can't find me.
Hey, Jennie.
You can't find me. I purposely find out no Wi-Fi zones. Yeah.
And people are tagging you and trying to engage you in a conversation, but you're not there.
I'm not there. Yeah.
And I'm envious of that, because I know that you've made that as a very conscious decision to completely disconnect.
It's
so
important.
Can you share a little bit about, you know, was that cold turkey, or was that kind of phased in for you?
It was an addiction to begin with, I'll be honest with you, because social media is that monster, right? It's like, I'm here and it's going to take over, and it's wonderful because you get lots of brand awareness and you get lots of opportunities and people have instant access to you. That's when I learned it. And it was starting to take over, and I can see we're very adamant about technology and raising our children. Our children do not have tablets. Our children do not have iPhones at this time. That may change, clearly, as one's heading into their teens. Yes. So we need to lead by example. And FaceTime and family time is very important. That's just a value I have. That's what I value. And in order to do that, I can't have something that has Apple on it other than an apple from a tree in front of my face. Wow. So it's really by leading by example and letting people be aware of, you know, this great country we live in, the freedom we have, the experiences we can do without social media. And then we can post about it later.
Absolutely.
And so do you have, you know, designated times in your within a day that, you know, this is a tech-free time?
Yes, I try my best. Like I'm a big fan of the Best Self Journal, which I know, Juliet, I believe you are too. Yes. So here's my Best Self Journal, and I plan out my week. Oh, I should say Tamara plans out my week in advance. Sunday night, I sit down, I draft out everything I'm doing that week in this calendar. I know it's paper, but it's paper with purpose, right? It's kind of like scrapbooking. So I'm not reconciling a set of books. This is paper with purpose. And from there, I block in, okay, what is social media? What are my carbon tasks I need to work on? If there's anything personal development wise, like if I have to do 50 sit-ups, you know, whatever the case is, right? I'm very purposeful about my time, because I know that where I am in my life right now, the children are young, and this is the time to embrace it. I need to be very purposeful about who gets my time and why. And I know it means it comes across as a little standoffish, but it's for a very intensive purpose. And then when people do get my time, they get all of it. Like right now, you're getting all of it, right?
Which Duke isn't very happy about, but yeah.
Yeah, Dookie's not particularly happy about it. I'm going to be honest.
Okay.
But yeah, it's okay, buddy. We're talking about you.
Perfect. Okay, so if you could look into your crystal ball, because we know that you have one in your office somewhere.
I do, right beside my tiara. Yeah.
Yes. Where do you think our industry is going? Say, usually, you know, we would ask the question 5 years down the road. It's
no. 5 years.
You can't predict that.
So 5 years is now long term. Yeah.
1 year or 2 years down the road, what do you kind of see as where our industry is changing? Well,
this is going to be a bit of a switch. Our industry is now, I believe now, I see it now, because the referrals I get are from accounting professionals that are refusing to make changes to the cloud or refusing to better serve their clients. So right now, what I see, and within the next 2 years, is that our industry is going to be driven by our clients, not by us. And we are going to have to be in tune to our clients' needs, because we are now going to be judged on that ability to best serve their needs, because they know. Because knowledge is power, and clients now have the power. They have knowledge to know there's a better way of doing things. And you know, this movement has been around for several years. The iPhone's been out longer than QBO, and you know, apps were on, you know, the iPhone long before that. People are already become in that way of wanting to have everything from a personal device. They've been expecting it for a very long time. That's our turn now to pull up our socks and start listening to that client if we want to keep them.
Okay.
I know it's bold to say, but it's the truth.
Do you find that the clients that are coming to you now are asking you different questions than they did 3 years ago, 5 years ago?
I don't believe they're like, I'll be honest with you. When clients come to me, they don't really have questions. They have expectations. They don't know how. They don't know how it's going to be done. And frankly, they don't care. But they have a reason for the why. Like, I want this to be easier. I want this process to be easier. And they look to me to solve that how. So not necessarily with a set of questions, but maybe with a set of expectations. And the thing that I constantly hear is to make things easier, to make things easier, to make things easier. And then where does that stem from? These are entrepreneurs, obviously, even right down to right up to nonprofit organizations and larger corporations. They want things to be easier so that they can focus on their operations. And if it's a smaller entrepreneur, it's so that they can build their business. And if it's someone that maybe has family ties, it's so that they can start spending time with their family, not creating sales invoices on Saturday nights at the kitchen table.
Okay. Okay. So with the changes in the industry, how do you see that the role of the bookkeeper is changing for the future?
We're becoming an advocate for their books. I think, and the way I feel, again, this is my statement. Before, when I was in my traditional workflow with desktop and paper and running around like Little Red Riding Hood, collecting all the stuff, I didn't have time to focus on the relationship with that client because I was just too busy managing paper. I was. And it was a very purposeful thing. It had to be done in that workflow. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to get the financial statements out. But when I started adopting to cloud technology, that's when we could start having these relationships. And really, our role as a bookkeeper now, in fact, I said this to a new client that we got when she asked if she could, spend some money without a receipt. And I said, no, I'm the book whisperer. I can now, how cheesy is that? Right? Like trademark. There we go. I'm the book whisperer. I advocate on behalf of your books. And I think that is where we're starting to go now. Now we have more time. A lot of people would argue, well, if you say we have less time, we're not valued as much. Wrong. The people that I've transitioned, the people that come to me, they don't care about data entry. They don't care how long that takes. What they care about is Jennie time. They care about, just like family time with the kids, they care about having access to me and being coached by me and being heard by me with their bookkeeping. And where I push them, because G is growth minded, right? I'm not stupid. I want these guys to grow so my services grow.
Right.
And that's where I can see bookkeepers going. We're becoming the advocate for the books, stronger with a relationship through to the client. We're looking for opportunities more. And with that, there's still a role with the accountant as well. We're just working better together now. We're not dealing with desktop files and things like that.
Okay, perfect.
Great point.
So I guess, what can bookkeepers be doing today to make sure that they're relevant and successful going forward? Now, we've talked about, personal development, professional development. Is there anything else that you would recommend, that they make sure they're investing in or learning in order to stay relevant? Because obviously the purpose of these webinars is to help bookkeepers stay relevant. That the industry's changing and our role is obviously changing. What do we need to do to make sure that we all still have businesses?
Yeah, and I also think from a lot of the bookkeepers that we talk to, one of the common questions I think we get is, it seems so overwhelming. Yeah. Where do I start? What is step one? Yeah.
And that step one's going to be different for everyone. And you're absolutely right. It is overwhelming and it's worth it. It's worth it. So I think, and again, this is me coming down to that personal development. You need to look at yourself first before you look at your business and where you're taking it. You need to figure out where you want to be. Is this something you want to do? Because you need to be in it. If you're going to make a change in your practice, I have so many people that come to me, so many CPAs that want to make a change in their practice, but yet they're not really willing, but they know they have to. Well, that's not good enough. You need to be on board. So you really need to look at yourself. Is this something you want to do? And if it's not something you want to do, hire someone who wants to do it for you in your practice. That's really what I can just tell you. Hire someone, if you know that there's a change, hire someone that can take over that scope for you. You need to look at yourself and where you want to be. What is that first step? Look at your pain. What is most painful right now with what you do in your practice? It doesn't matter if you're a large CPA firm or just starting out as a bookkeeper. What is painful? Analyze your pain. And that's always something I always do. Not because I'm sadistic, but because I mean that. I look at what's painful. What made that migration so painful? What made working in this situation so painful? And then find ways to make that go away. Find a different workflow, find a different app, find an app, whatever it is. Really focus on that. And like I said, for me, it was becoming paperless. So, looking at applications that handle documents was really important. Take your time. Don't, just because Jennie Moore is all about one particular app doesn't mean you need to be too. Look at your options, analyze your options, what works best for you. That is your first step. Take one pain point at a time, take it one app at a time, and then take it one client at a time. Then you're going to get comfortable, and in no time you'll be doing 3 migrations like I am. Just and it won't be so overwhelming.
Can you tell us, what does a typical day in the life of Jennie Moore look like? Now, we know you have a team as well, that you have a team as well that help you, but you're all virtual.
Yes.
So what does a typical day look like for you? Yeah,
because so far I haven't been able to train Duke on doing anything else.
He fills a different role, though, in your life.
You know what he does is he's very in tune. I think Tamara tells him my schedule, and he's very in tune so that when he knows it's like the top of the hour, he always comes around and he'll like flip my arm. Like, he's doing this quite a bit because he knows I'm excited because you got QB Firm of the Future for Canada, and I just haven't been able to calm down for like 2 hours.
Okay.
So he's feeding off my anxiety. But what does the day look like? I work from home. So there's the family dynamic, obviously, first thing in the morning. Right off in the morning, before anybody's up and out of bed, I look at my intentions. What is it I want to do for the day? I'm looking at my best self journal. I'm looking for opportunities of what needs to happen. I usually start the day with looking at my triage and Carbon. Carbon is a way of managing workflows and email. For me, email prior to that was really difficult. So Carbon was a tool that really helps me. I go in, I look at my triage, I delegate or assign to my next week's workflow. I really try hard to avoid crisis management, and I train my clients to avoid crisis management as well by properly planning and being proactive. So I'll go through my triage, assign work to the next week, or delegate to my team, which are on Carbon. Then I usually have about 3 or 4 appointments during the day, and in between that, I'm looking at my Carbon workflow, what's some integrations that need to be done, what's a presentation that needs to be done. If I'm skating that day, because sometimes during the day I sneak out and I go skating. Don't tell Tamara. I actually.
Why did you whisper when you said you sneak
I don't know. I felt like it's something I shouldn't be doing. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm very purposeful about my time. With the team, we actually communicate. We communicate in Carbon by tagging each other, but it actually doesn't need to be because we plan out very well, and we have weekly risk management meetings on Slack, believe it or not, in under 30 minutes. We'll do Slack chats. We call it Slack slapping sometimes. And we'll just get through some high risk items that are happening in the practice, and we can delegate things and see things before they happen. And then, yeah, kids get off the bus. We're either skating or spending family time at night, looking at the journal again, what worked that day, what didn't work that day, looked at the day for tomorrow, and hopefully go straight to bed.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you said something which I thought was brilliant, and I've heard it elsewhere as well, that you're trying very hard to be proactive with your clients. Yes. And I think that's really one of the fundamental shifts that's taking place in our industry is we're trying from being reactive, proactive.
That's correct.
Can you touch a little bit more on that as to what that means for you and for your clients?
Yes, so that starts right at our review stage. We have 3 stages when we go to onboard a client, very similar to marriage and dating, if you will, to, there's a relationship curve that takes place. We follow a very similar process with our new clients. And right at the beginning, they've usually come from a situation where they're a little jaded. Oh, they never return my calls. But meanwhile, they might have been calling them 5 times a day. So I always poke the bear a little bit to say, listen, there's issues on both sides, but this is how we roll. We have what we call weekly check-ins, or sometimes they're monthly or bi-monthly or every quarter with each client. Each client is mandated to have communication Jennie time. And that is very purposeful, and we build an agenda leading up to our next meeting. So if it's an email that comes in, hey, we want to talk about this app, this topic, or this business growth, or maybe we should increase our shop rate, or I want to hire a new employee. We have processes in place that we bring that up as an agenda item so that they feel that they're being heard, and they are heard with us. So I think communication is really key. Does that kind of help with that?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it avoids that crisis management. Now, does the floodgates open and sometimes it's just HE double hockey sticks? You betcha. But it's not every client and it's not all the time.
Okay. Do you find that you're still the front person with all of your clients, or does your team interact with your clients at all?
They do as well. So initially, because we really want to have a relationship with the client, we're really big on that. I know it sounds kind of strange, but believe it or not, clients want a relationship. They are sharing their most personal information with you. They need to feel comfortable, and that's in a relationship. So at the first, we take baby steps because I need to vet them. I need to figure out if they're a dragon or not.
Okay.
Right? If they're not a dragon, then I have to be able to handle that. So the team doesn't really come into scope. Tamara will come in a little bit in the beginning to help schedule and do some of the admin side. But in that review stage, we're not doing anything really in the sense of changing their bookkeeping. What we're doing is we're analyzing their situation and figuring out the best course of action to move forward. Then as we move through implementation and continuity, that's when we bring in our other team members, and they know right off the bat, this is our team, this is what Therese does, this is what Mariana does. And they're accountable to these individuals based on our workflows. And we have very clear expectations of what is required by each client.
Perfect.
We're getting down now to our last 15 minutes, and we've got questions here. So.
Oh, wait, I got to hold this up, right? This is my famous sign.
I can't see if the chat box is in the way.
Okay, I'll move the chat box.
I love the banter that goes between you two. It's just so cute. Just want to hug you both.
Sign. You got to bring it back up. I missed it.
Oh, the sign. Oh, you want your sign? It says, don't worry.
Accustomed to dumb questions. Okay.
Yeah, don't worry. We are accustomed to dumb questions.
Okay, so now we can bring the chat up.
Because everybody always says that. I got a dumb question. This might be a dumb question. No, there's no dumb question.
Okay, so Cheryl was asking, what is Jeff's name and the name of his book? So Jeff, if you're still on the call, I call it the 8 Pillars, but I know that there is a full title to the book. So maybe you could just type that in the chat so that everybody... There we go. 8 Pillars for Exponential Growth. Yeah. And right above it, it also has the full spelling of Jeff's first name and last name. Awesome.
That's right.
Both of us would highly recommend it.
And I believe there's a Bookkeepers edition too, right, Jeff? I think you have 2 editions.
And Jeff has even pronunciation for his last name as well, which is hilarious. So Cheryl,
just say it really fast.
So Cheryl, you can't see what Jeff has typed. It's in the chat, which should be on your...
Right on the right-hand side. Your other right, maybe. No,
or just, get in touch with one of us. You know what? Some of the Facebook groups, Jeff's in there. Just, I know if it's the right Cheryl, I know. Cheryl, just go in our favorite group there. Look for him. He's there.
The other question was, what is carbon? And so carbon is spelled with a K, not with a C. And Steve is going to put in, and already has up, the website. So can you give us a brief overview of what carbon is or what it does for your firm?
Sure. And like I said, there's other apps that are out there. There's also Arrow, there's Jetpack. There's lots of great apps. So it comes down workflow. It's a workflow management app for your practice. Okay. Workflow management. So, the sticky note system that some of you may have, or you might remember, or maybe you're using, and there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe you're using Excel, maybe you're using Asana, maybe you're using a similar type of task management platform, maybe you're using your own calendar. What we needed something more. We needed something that worked with a team. So Carbon, what it does is it involves our email as well as our workflow and our reoccurring workflow for each client. So we always have a bird's eye view on where we're at, where the practice is at. Does that make sense? We have a pulse.
Yeah.
And Carbon does that for us. Like I said, there's other ones out there. Research them. Many of them have 20, 30 days. See which one works best for you.
Absolutely. So just for reference, we use teamwork.com to manage our practice and have been using it for a long time and absolutely love it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so next.
And if I could just add, sorry, Juliet, can I just add one more thing with that?
Absolutely.
So, and another thing too, if you're looking for workflow management, really as a practice owner, take that upon yourself first. It can be very confusing to involve your team and say, hey, by the way, we're going live with Carbon tomorrow. No, really, if I could give you one piece of advice, go through it yourself. Just take one workflow from one client, see how that works for you. Then try another one, and then adequately train your team on it. This is a big thing to do this, and it's well worth it, but it's not an overnight success. You need to put effort into it.
Yes, agree completely. And if I can add to that, absolutely, as the business owner, it has to be your decision.
Yes.
Get feedback from your team, absolutely, but at the end of the day, it has to be your decision. Because in my humble opinion, it's your name on the door that it needs to be done because it's going to be representing you as it's out there.
That's right. You will likely never go, but employees may, right? So it's important that you can stand behind a platform that you have full faith in.
Absolutely. So Tamara posted that she's watching, so she heard when you...
Oh, man, so screwed.
So I think she's going to cram your schedule a little bit tighter there so that you don't have time to...
Tamara, I love you.
Too late.
She knows now. She knows my loopholes.
That you sneak out.
She doesn't know that I sneak out for cupcakes every once in a while, so thank you.
Sorry, we have a question here about Slack.
Yes.
How do you have effective meetings in Slack, and why not a video conference?
Okay, so very effective in Slack. I'm a type of person. I'm a type A Virgo, right? If y'all haven't figured that out by now, type A Virgo, where here's the facts and I want an answer. I don't want the fancy stuff in between. What Slack does is it takes out the, how would you say, the conversational piece. We have 30 minutes. Our time schedule is quite complex. The team appreciates it too, because nobody wants, oh, not another team meeting. What we want is, yay, it's another Slack meeting. That's the atmosphere we're trying to take. And when we have a video and you get a bunch of people talking, we're all talking over top of each other. And it's like, what did we talk about? There's no notes. Somebody's got to take notes. With Slack, we have several channels, right? We have what's it called, Tamara? Management channel or something? I can't remember what it's called. What it does is we have an agenda and we have a purpose for meeting in that time, and we follow the agenda, and each person gets a chance to say something. And what's great about it is because we have team members that can travel, right? Like Marianne just came back from Croatia. Well, time zones make it difficult for her to be on Slack, but guess what? She could go on Slack on her time that she wants to, and she could see everybody's conversation. It's note-taking. So and you can easily share images and videos back and forth. We also have separate Slack channels for our clients, and some of our clients are involved in that as well. So really, it's a more effective use of our time.
Okay. So one of the questions as well is, can we repeat what Dragon stands for? So Steve has the DR, the G, O, and N, but we missed the A.
Oh, adaptable.
There we go. Okay, so Steve's going to type that into the chat.
Awesome. Yeah. And like I said, guys, feel free to use the dragon. I don't, you say, oh my goodness, somebody's using the dragon. No. If that's what's going to work for you to get you started, and then eventually you call it something else, or maybe you change the meaning of it, just start with something. And maybe starting with that is helpful. So start with that.
Okay. And so Samantha's asking whether the apps that we've mentioned would be beneficial for a sole bookkeeper.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, obviously there's an investment with some of them. We know Carbon is an investment. I found that it worked well when I had a team, but let's also think about where your intentions are, Samantha. If your intentions are to build a team moving forward because you're not going to want to create a job for yourself anymore, just being honest, maybe preparing for that with a workflow management app might be helpful. Other, like Slack, same thing. If you want to communicate with your clients where maybe they're not ringing the phone all the time, where if they're tech savvy, that is, again, that's defining your client, your dragon client. They can communicate with you via Slack, and it's more effective use of your time. So I'm going to have to argue yes. Just keep in mind that some of these might have a certain investment amount that you really need to look at where you're going. And actually, to be honest with you, if we could do that crystal ball again, along with Tamara, because I know she's listening now, but I would have liked to do, I'm going to really milk that now. I also would have liked to have a practice management app before I started a team. I think I'm very lucky that my team gets me and my type A personality, and I swear they're all psychic. But it was very difficult, at least from my standpoint, and I'm sure from theirs, when we didn't have one.
Yes, I think more than anything for us, the practice management system allows everybody to know where everybody else is on a particular client. That you're not having to call them and say, okay, well, where's the HST on this client? You can just look in your workflow in your practice management system and be able to identify where that is. So it makes everybody much more efficient.
Makes them accountable too, right?
Yes.
Like, hopefully you're attaining people who are of that, they're accountable and trustworthy and all that. Of course, we expect that. But, what if somebody, couldn't show up for work for whatever reason, or couldn't, at least we can look at their workflow and go, okay, what's the stuff that's on their plate? Let's delegate it right now. Let's get her done. And it's not this, we need to look at paper on someone's desk. I couldn't imagine doing that nowadays. I think I'd cry. Yes,
no, absolutely. There is also a Facebook group for some of you who may not be aware of it called QBO in Quinty, and Jenny is an admin on it. I'm an admin on it as well. A lot of the apps that we've talked about are discussed in that group. People are giving, they have questions, and that's what we try and answer as well. Steve, there are some questions people have posted in the Q&A.
Which I couldn't see.
Which you couldn't see.
But I can see them.
Okay, so we have a question from Lenny. How or what do you use to vet or onboard new clients?
Oh, that's a great question. That one's a really good one. So I think first and foremost, it's important to have like a lead generation software. So 17 Hats is it's a cute little app. It has lots of features. For me, what I use it for is the questionnaires. So there's many other apps out there that will do questionnaires. I'm just letting you know this is one that I use. So first of all, what a client or a prospect, I should say, will get if on social media, because that's the majority of my references are coming from social media. They'll fill out an online generation form. It goes into this little CRM and it kicks out a questionnaire, and it's quite mean. It asks for a lot of stuff, and we do want to know the mean stuff. We do. We want to know the big, the bad, the hairy, the ugly, because we can't help them. And so what that does with that questionnaire is it actually expires in, I think, 10 days. So if they don't fill it out, first of all, if they don't fill it out online, then I know that they're not an ideal client. Why? Because what does the O in Dragon stand for? Online. Yeah. So we have our vetting process in tune with our ideal client. There's also the time frame as well. If they don't do it within the time frame, then I know maybe R and respectful might be a bit of an issue, respecting time frames to do things. So we find that this form is really helpful. Again, If it's someone that didn't come through social media and maybe it's just a reference because somebody saw them use the HubDoc app, for instance, like the one that we're working on today, we'll have a quick 30-minute call just to analyze some of their situations. We'll use a mind mapping software called Imindmap to take in all their pain points, because usually at that point they're just brain dumping on you, to collect all those little rich tidbits of information. And then we can follow up with a proposal through Practice Ignition on what the review fee is. And then that's when we're really looking at the dirty stuff, right? It's like, okay, let's look at your bank statements, let's look at your account with CRA, that's the sort of thing.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing all that.
Mm-hmm.
So we only have a couple minutes left, and we want to be mindful of everyone's time. We know that everyone is joining us out of their busy time. So we always like to end off our webinars with the question of reading is very important to us, and we're always looking for great inspiration. And I know that reading is important to you as well.
Yeah.
What's one of your favorite business books, or what book are you reading right now?
I just finished 8 Traits Successful People Have in Common. That one is by Richard, St. John. Yeah, Richard St. John. I found that one was really helpful. It was great because it was like affirmation. I have these traits, so I'm normal. And the fact that I'm an entrepreneur. I read a lot of books by, I guess you can say, I just look at a bunch of them. Like my bookshelf right now is just like full of stuff. I'm always looking at stuff that's leadership related or communication or relationship based. There's one book I'm reading right now called You Never Eat Alone. Never Eat Alone. That one's a really neat one.
Okay.
Anything Arlene Dickinson. I'm gonna be honest with you. I got a girl crush on her. Anything Arlene Dickinson.
Okay. And she was at Thrive last year.
That's right.
I guess QB Connect now, but yes.
Oh, I was so excited when she was there. I was
Yeah. She's awesome.
She is.
Perfect. Do you have anything else that you'd like to share? I don't know if there's any other questions.
No, yeah.
Anyone else? I think we're all done and ready to wind up. So thank you so very much, Jenny.
Thanks, Juliet and Steve.
The time out of your day to share all this knowledge about how you became Firm of the Future with our audience. I know that they will have appreciated it. So.
Oh, well, thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, Jenny. Great job as usual.
Oh, awesome. Hope to see y'all at conferences. Take care now.
Bye.
Talk to you soon.
Bye. Mwah.